C'est très inquiétant, surtout puisque la Russie a perdu au hockey. Ils vont être de mauvaise humeur. On craint l'implication russe en Ukraine. Là.
Juste à cause du hockey?
C'est d'essayer d'amener une optique un peu légère dans une situation qui est extrêmement sérieuse, extrêmement troublante.
On pense que ça peut dégénérer en massacre.
And the Russian-backed separatist rebels have indeed been accused of human rights abuses, of violence. But so too have Ukrainian armed forces and volunteer battalions. Listen to what Amnesty International said last year. Both sides failed to take reasonable precautions to protect civilians. Both placed troops in residential areas. Ukrainian police were involved in torture. Pro-Kiev forces were involved in abductions. Is this the new Ukraine you're trying to build, where all these human rights violations are happening, even under Ukrainian armed forces, Ukrainian police? It's not just the Russian-backed separatists who are committing violence.
I'm sorry. Where's the reason of conflict? Can you give me an answer? Where's the reason for conflict?
That doesn't justify human rights abuses, though, does it?
No.
You can fight them without carrying out torture, abductions.
From the beginning.
This is what Amnesty is saying.
From the beginning. Right now, the right radicals come to the power. The people who hated Russians in Ukrainian government. I told the clear answer how we can hate Russians. I am hate Russians. My father is Ukrainian, my mother is Russian. In my body is Russian.
And there have been allegations that there are neo-Nazis fighting in volunteer units against Russians.
Nazis fighting. It's not true. It's everything is propaganda war.
U.S. newspapers, not just Russian newspapers, have documented the Azov Battalion and other such groups fighting on the front lines against Russia, who have swastikas on their trucks. It's not true at all.
I don't see swastika. I talk to the people. We defend our territory. We defend.
And what about the human rights violations? What do you say about Amnesty?
We defend our country.
What about the torture, the abductions, the not protecting civilians, placing troops?
Please,
Amnesty human rights watch?
I don't know what from you take this information.
Amnesty International. You've heard of Amnesty International?
Sorry, I come from Ukraine.
If you listen to what Putin has said, he wants to do primarily two things. He wants to denazify Ukraine, and he wants to demilitarize the Ukraine. The United States narrative keeps talking about democracy, 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 but the one thing that never gets answered is why did the United States go into the Ukraine in 2014 and overthrow their democratically elected government and install a pro-America government when that was not the government that was elected by the Ukrainian people? The other thing that Putin is doing is protecting what are known as ethnic Russians in the Donbass region, Luhansk and Donetsk, as they are being attacked and shelled by the Nazi Ukrainian forces from the West. Again, this isn't being discussed. In fact, 4 days before Russia went in to Ukraine, the Security and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe saw 5,667 violations of the Minsk Accords as the Nazis from the West were bombing the people in Luhansk and Donetsk. So there's a lot of stuff going on here that is just not getting reported because it goes against the dominant Western narrative. I keep going back to you've got a lot of Nazis in very powerful positions in the Ukrainian government. And we know that they're racist. And so it doesn't surprise me that you would see the preference being given to white Ukrainians. I have to push back on a couple of things. One, there's a dominant narrative that the world is united. That's just not true. Israel, for example, has not backed the resolution in the UN condemning Russia. There's not one Muslim country that has backed the UN resolution. You've got Poland, Bulgaria, and Slovakia that are not sending, and these are EU countries, that are not sending fighter planes, MiG fighter planes to Ukraine. So it's not as dominant of a wave of support as the United States is making it out to be. And in terms of Putin giving the message that it's okay to invade countries. I think the United States sent that message when it invaded Afghanistan. I think the United States gave that message when it invaded Syria. I think the United States gave that message when they murdered Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. And we, of course, can't forget what we did to Saddam Hussein in Iraq. So, and by the way, Putin isn't trying to take over Ukraine. If he wanted to do that, it would have been done 3 or 4 days ago.
So what is he trying to do if he's not trying to take over Ukraine?
He's trying to demilitarize and denazify the country.
And in the process is invading and destroying civilian locations, and civilians are dying along the way, being killed along the way. And the accusation that the Ukraine is run by Nazis that's debatable, and it's also hard to understand.
I didn't say it was run by. I didn't say it was run by Nazis. I didn't say it was run by Nazis. What I said is there's a very strong Nazi contingent called the Azov Brigade in Ukraine that the United States, through the CIA, has been funding, training, and used in 2014 to overthrow the democratically elected.
Ми прийшли мирно попросити їх, щоб вони...